Good morning. Sorry about my absence between working nights, not getting enough sleep, traveling, and that sort of thing. I've been away for a little bit, but I'm back. I'm back home finally. I'm taking care of the cows again, as you can see behind me. I've fed them already. Now I'm going to go take care of calves and make sure that everybody's taken care of. So just recently, I was watching a couple of videos, and it's something that I brought up more than once because I'm guilty of it, as guilty as everyone else is. And it's something I brought up in a couple of videos in the past. Whenever you go through a gate, always close it and lock it. Always, always. The reason being is, sure enough, if you don't, even though you're going to come back through that gate, I'm going to go back through that gate. Sure enough, if you don't close that gate and latch it, sure enough, you're going to get drawn out through another gate, and through that other gate, something is going to come up, and you're going to have a gate open. When you've got a gate open, every time the cows and calves will find that. Every time. It's amazing. It's like a magnet. You can see these poor guys, they're quite sure that they're starving to death. They're all standing here. They're all standing here waiting to be fed some grain because they're pretty dang spoiled, these guys. I don't know if you can see their bunk right there, but they have got a full bale that was put in there last night. But like all kids, they're spoiled and they want pellets. They like the sweet pellets there. Is that what you like there, 18-2? She's a sweetheart, this one. Anyway, let me continue on feeding everybody. So sure enough, as I was saying about the gates, uh, both of these people had gone through a gate, started doing something. They were going to close the gate. They're going back out that way. They're going to the house, whatever they were going to do. Sure enough, they got distracted, pulled the other direction, and they'd left the gate open. The one girl, I'll have to try to remember the site, and I'll put it down below if I remember. Anyway, no sooner, she'd had a hard day. It had been raining. It's supposed to be snowing, so the ground's supposed to be frozen. But it had been raining. It was cold. She'd worked outside all day, and she'd cleaned out this stall, put in fresh straw, put in the water, started getting feed, and she had to grab something else. Had the cow in there. And so she took off to go take care of that. And no kidding, no sooner did she take off, that cow checked the fence, the gate, and the gate wasn't locked, and off it took off. So then making her long day even a little more enjoyable, interesting, she had to go chase the cow, try to get it back and put back in its stall there. Generally, it's not too difficult with a cow like that because you put feed out and they'll generally follow the feed. But anyway, it was just, it was pretty funny because I've done it 100 times. That's why I try to every time stop. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, doesn't matter where I'm going, trying to close the gate. But sure enough, I've done it before. I did it right in the middle of banding and branding and vaccinated. We had we had calves we were trying to isolate, and we were trying to keep the steers and the bull calves in the corrals, and we were trying to kick the heifer calves out with the rest of the cows. And so I'd gone out through the gate to grab something. My hands were full. I was in a hurry. As soon as I set this down, I'll close that. And we're isolating and kicking the heifers out and back and forth and looking at what's going on. And I turned to start getting ready to push those steers back into the corral so we could feed them more. And everybody was gone. They were all gone because I'd left the gate open and everybody was out. And so then it was a real headache. Then I had to, obviously we had to bring everything back in and sort all over again because I'd left the gate open. So it's a hard lesson learned, but I'm sure to make it again. Something I did want to point out is we've had some cold weather here in the last couple of days, and you can see that the ice is built up on this creek right here. It's getting iced over pretty good. It's nothing terrible right now. The cows still have access to it. But if we get any cold weather, the below 0 or 20 below, anything like that, it becomes really problematic. You can see right here, this is where the cows access the creek. There are a couple of spots, obviously, but you can see that lip right there. What they'll do is they'll get standing on that, and that lip will break, and then they'll fall in. They'll fall into that little section right there. So it's just something we need to keep an eye on for them. We need to make sure that there is access to the creek for them, even when it gets real cold. It stinks because it's their only access to water, but if it's 20 or 30 below and it gets iced over, which it will get completely iced over. And when that happens, we'll be out here at the bar breaking ice so that the cows will have access to the water. My guess is that we will have at least one real heavy freeze to where it'll do that, and we'll be breaking ice. Happens every year. It's kind of part of the deal, part of the life. Anyway, let me go get these guys fed. Another thing we have to kind of keep an eye on, because we got the mama cow here. We've got her isolated away from the rest of the herd because of the calf, who's getting really big. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Hi, kid. Anyway, we've got her isolated, and she gets her own food. And because of that, she'll go through feed a little slower than the herd will. So you can see that little by little, you can see the bow in the panels right here. That typically is out here to the road around here. They'll continue to push that in, trying to get to her feed. Additionally, you can see that they've fiddled with these panels enough, back and forth with them, back and forth, that they've actually got one of the chains for this panel come loose. So I'll have to fix that, but it's just something we have to keep an eye on. Is these guys will continue to rattle and mess with things, trying to get the extra feed, just like everyone else. They think they're missing out on something. Mama here, I gotta get her some grain. She thinks it's time for her to be fed. So you can kind of see what these guys do. They like the leafier material better than the stemmy stuff. Although they will eat the stemmy stuff and they need the fiber, they want the leafy stuff more than the stems. So what they'll do is they'll keep pushing their head deeper and deeper into that tub, and then they'll kind of throw out that stemmy stuff right there. That is exactly why the rest of the cows come and push on all these panels. The cows will come in and try to push the panels in enough to get whatever stemmy stuff is left on the ground. You can see it's piled up pretty good right here. I will end up throwing that stuff back in before I leave because I don't want it to go to waste. I don't want them walking in it or anything like that. But that is part of the reason the rest of the cows will come along and push on these panels. They can see that she's getting a little feed, and cows being what they are, just like children, they can have the exact same feed, and it doesn't matter who they always want the food somebody else has. Always, just like children. um, that's just the way they work. So it's kind of a good view as well. You can see that little heifer there. She's already eaten hay, so that's a good thing, getting her moving on to more of a solid feed. She'll stay on mama obviously until, I don't know, spring sometime here, and then we'll try to isolate her for a little bit. She's about 6-8 months old. I was just indicating how the cows will eat and then they'll throw stuff out. You can see what they've done is they've kind of burrowed their head right here. You can see that they burrowed their head in trying to get the leafy stuff. So what happens, that stuff above will fall out and end up here on the ground. You can see it there as well. I'll go in there again and I'll throw the rest of that back in, throw it on top. They will eat that stuff, but it's not the preferred whatever. You know, the leafy stuff is tastier for them, and they prefer that. Nonetheless, we can't let a lot of feed go to waste. Calves are looking really nice. You can see they're filling in really well. They're probably 550, 600 pounds right now. They're filling in nicely. This steer here, he'll be going to the butcher here next month. His partner we just took in weighed 847 hanging weight. So I was really happy to have that. That made the customer happy. That made us happy. Everybody's happy. So looking forward to ensuring he gets everything he wanted out of that steer, and that he's completely satisfied. This guy here, we're going to end up keeping half of him. We've sold the other half, and we'll keep the half that wasn't sold. But nonetheless, he's looking really good. He's filling in really well. So I would expect the same thing, somewhere around 800, 825 for a hanging weight. This deer here, he is also being fed, trying to feed him out, get him filled out. We'll probably sell him early summer would be my guess. He was a late calf. These two are, a little fighting match over who gets what. Both the big steers. They're going to mess around and fight each other so long that they're going to miss out on getting the last of that feed. Anyway, he was, that steer that I was pointing out, he was a late calf from the previous year. You can see he's quite a bit behind this guy here. He's quite a bit behind him, but he will fill out and we'll sell him probably early July, early summer, I mean, somewhere right in that area. We'll feed him out and have him in really good condition. He's actually filling out really, really well for his age compared to the others. I'd say that actually his conformation, he's actually a little heavier than the others. Just a quick note on this this cow here. In the past, she had been pretty difficult to be around. We typically don't have anything that is really spooky or rangy or whatever, but for whatever reason, her genetics, even when we try to bring them into corrals or anything like that, she would separate from the herd, move away from everybody, and she would just try to avoid everyone. You get her in the chute, and ever since she was a calf, well, she'd be just really difficult to handle and a pain in the butt. At one point, she was on the block. Basically, we were going to get rid of her. This just attests to the time spent with an animal. Since she has been in this little small corral because of her calf, she's become very accustomed to us being next to her, being near her, feeding her and that kind of thing. And due to that, she has really overcome that rangy characteristic. She's much easier to work around, much easier to manage. She doesn't freak out and blow up. We can just move slowly with her and kind of move her wherever we need her now. Whereas in the past, boy, if you'd come in this corral, she was running, trying to escape, taking off, and just being really difficult to work around. Time spent, going slow with her, taking it easy with her. These were all really good, good quality time spent with her. Due to that time spent with her, she's really come around, and she's done really well with this little calf. We've not had to do much with the calf. She's fed the calf out really nice. The calf looks beautiful, full of what I would call piss and vinegar. She thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. But it just goes back to attest to time spent with these guys. I know that everybody doesn't have time to do so. And if you've got 500-600 head or 1,000 head and they're out on thousands of acres, you just don't have time to spend with them. And I get that. I understand that. It's a totally different type of operation, but for us, this is what works best.